here. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing awesome. And I just want to say hello to everybody for joining us. Thank you for joining us today. We are here again just talking about things in the world of social. And today we are talking about top social listening and analytics tools of 2020. We're dishing out our favorites. My name is Myra, and I'm co founder of B3 Media Solutions. We're a company that specializes in social media monitoring, listening, and analytics reporting. And we've been operating since 2014 and work with enterprise level clients. And I've been analyzing social media data and generating reports for well over 10 years. And Barika, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Barika Phillips Bell, and I'm also one of the co founders of B3 Media Solutions. And I've been working in social listening analytics, social media monitoring for over 16 years, and really excited today to talk about social listening tools because it's like the number one thing that we get asked by every client is what is the best social listening tool out there? What should I be looking at? So, this is a very exciting topic.
It is. And when we talk about it, a lot of people say, you guys get really geeky about that. And I'm like, yes, we do, because what we do, tools can make our job really, really easy or very, very difficult. So having the right social listening tool is key, is critical. And
Exactly.
last week we talked about just what is social media monitoring, social media listening, and it's all about collecting data and listening to conversations on social. And the best way to be able to do that is by licensing or using a social listening tool. And in this aspect, there's social listening tools. And there are also like social analytic tools. There are social publishing tools. I think a lot of people have heard about Hootsuite. That's a great tool to publish your content and also listen lightly. But we also have a lot of social monitoring, social listening tools that we want to talk about today. We're going to go over our top three favorites. But before we do that, I just wanted to share or just kind of talk about lightly, like what's trending on social today. We have a tool that allows us to kind of take a peek of what's trending within the US or around the world. And within the US, the top three things that are trending around events is New Year's, and then there's hashtag Mama Vote or MAMA Vote, and then Christian Dior was a trending brand. And that those are things we just look at daily. Everybody knows what New Year's, it's just right around the corner, so of course that makes sense. And then for Christian Dior, when I looked into that, it looks like there's a new partnership with a K-pop artist. So they were trending. Anything K-pop really, does well on social.
Yeah.
Um, so these partnerships are one of the things that we look at as well when we use our social listening tools. But
Well, Mama Vote to me is interesting because I'm like, well, obviously it's for the Mnet, Asian Awards of K-pop bands. So my favorite obviously is BTS. I'm always going to be on the BTS train because like they made my favorite song that I listen to all the time. So my Mama Vote's gonna go to BTS. What about you?
I have to agree. I'm kind of right up there with you. I like BTS, especially when they won the what was it, the Billboard Awards. We did an
Oh yeah.
announcement around that, so we predicted they were going to win through our social listening. They had the most chatter on Twitter, so we predicted they would win, and you know what? They did win.
We should totally do that again and see if our love for BTS is going to actually weigh out on social.
Right. I agree. I think we will do that again because that's what we do. But I did want to just kind of go over or share with you a slide of, it's from the Forrester report. They like to lay out, they do this annually, and they didn't do it in 2021, but this is Q4 from 2020. And they like to get, they they basically survey users of all these tools, and then they kind of map out who are the leaders. So Brandwatch is a enterprise level. These are all enterprise level social listening tools. Brandwatch, NetBase, Quid, Talkwalker, Sprinkler. So in the dark blue, those are considered the leaders. And we've had either a chance to use a lot of these or demo quite a few. And I still feel like this whole map that they've mapped out is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna ask you first, Brika, what are your top three favorite tools? And they could be the social listening tools or the analytic tools. You should tell me what your top three are and why.
Well, I guess I'm going to have to do kind of like a little bit of both. So, my top favorite tools, obviously, we both share a love for NetBase. So I'm gonna put that out there first. Is that as a social listening tool, NetBase is number one in our book, just because we have been able to do so much with NetBase as far as market research, competitive intelligence, influencer identification, and so much more. But beyond that, my top three favorite tools would have to be Rival IQ, Cloud Campaign, and Sprinkler. And that's because they fall in different sectors. So Rival IQ for social analytics, Cloud Campaign for like publishing and just social media management in general. And Sprinkler is kind of like that overarching tool that does a little bit of everything. It does listening, it does paid ads, social media ads, it does customer care, it does publishing, and it also has a section where you can kind of do trend reports and audience analysis. So for me, those would be the top three that I would choose. What about you, Myra?
Oh, you got me drinking water.
I'm
Um, it's okay. My moment to drink water.
You
But
need water. It's okay. It's okay.
okay, so yeah, we all need water. Okay. So my top three, you spoke about NetBase, of course. Using that, I've been using that one for I guess over 6 years, and I
Yeah.
find I can get to insights and to the stories around a particular campaign or around a particular question, doing year-over-year analysis or competitor analysis. I can get to it easier with NetBase because they have features such as tools and filters and tags. I mean, it's complex but very helpful.
Yeah.
I also like NetBase because every month all tools do this. They're constantly upgrading and improving their technology. They're incorporating new features. They just purchased Rival IQ. I don't
I
know.
know. I'm so excited about that. That's like a match made in heaven.
Yes, yes. I love the fact that they purchased Rival IQ because Rival IQ is a great tool to
Yeah.
get your own content and also look at competitors. So that's really great. They also have a great feature called NetBase Pro, where you can kind of do a Google search on social. So across all the news sources, forums, and Instagram, Facebook, of course, that's only public, and Twitter, you can do a Google search across all those sources. My next favorite tool is Talkwalker, and I just got access to that recently.
Oh, how's that been?
Their new and improved UI.
Yeah.
They revamped it in 2020. So what I'm seeing now is really amazing. I'm really impressed. I'm really excited to dive in there. They have something called the virality map. So they can show you a post and show you how viral it went, and then it actually gives you an image like it's a MP4 or a GIF image of how it actually spread across the world. It's very impressive.
That's exciting because just being able to like, because we tend to do a lot of reputation management, being able to look at like when an incident occurs, say for instance, a tweet that goes viral or a post on Facebook, like, and it's being shared, like being able to see where it started or a
Yeah.
news article where it started and then how it branched off from there is really cool.
Yeah, I like I mean I really also like the fact that you could see the source of it. You could just pin it down to like where it started. Another great feature that they have that like NetBase doesn't have. They all have their pros and cons, and there's not like one that's perfect. And we also talk about like a cocktail of social tools. So sometimes brands use like a variety of them. But one of the things that Talkwalker has is they have broadcast TV, radio, and podcast data that they can pull in. So that's pretty cool. That's something that also another tool that I like Critical Mention has. That's something that's a source that I don't normally see in social listening tools
Hmm.
is TV, radio, podcast. I think because TV and radio is kind of considered traditional and not quite social. So, but seeing that incorporated in one tool with social and traditional is really, really cool. I like that. And Talkwalker was the tool that I used to see what was trending across the US. So that's a cool feature just to have a general instant search.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, so those were my top three: NetBase, Talkwalker. I talked about Critical Mention, and I did mention Rebel IQ, but that's kind of part of NetBase. I know that's four, but
No, that
it's
was
top three.
perfect. I think the other important part of that is how these tools work, right? Because not all of them are alike. Not all of them get the same information. So if you look at kind of like what data they pull, of course they're going to get some of the basics. So you have your Facebook, you have your Twitter, you have your Instagram. Some pull in information from LinkedIn. But
Mm-hmm.
beyond that, some of the other things that they tend to pull in are forums, or they'll pull in things like review sites, or they'll pull in news articles, they'll pull in RSS feeds. Some actually can get Twitch. And so a lot of times, if you are looking for a social listening tool or a social analytics tool, you want to make sure that it has the different platforms that you're interested in listening to. If you're looking to understand TikTok, you need to make sure that that tool is able to pull it in, because some tools are and some tools aren't. Some tools are able to actually get information from Twitch. I know that was like one of our clients. They
Mm-hmm.
just recently launched a campaign on Twitch,
Mm-hmm.
so we had to help them find a solution and a tool that was able to get the information for that particular campaign. So
Yeah.
I definitely know that we will always make sure that looking for a social listening tool, you find the ones that have the platforms that you're interested in listening to.
Yeah, because they vary. I
They,
just found out that yeah, they vary across tools.
yeah.
I know that Talkwalker does analyze Twitch, so that was kind of cool.
Yes.
Um, the, the other question that we get asked a lot is like about pricing. Or people are like, "Well, how much do these cost?" And they run the gamut. There are things like Brand 24 that can cost as low as $49 a month, and they're subscription based month to month. But the bigger players that from the Forrester report that the enterprise level clients use, like the NetBases and the Talkwalkers, those are annual. They're based on annual subscriptions, and I can tell you right now, you're not going to get it. It would be very rare if you can get it from like under 1,000 a month. So they are quite pricey.
Well,
Um,
I mean, I'm just thinking about this, and like when brands come to us, a lot of times, they always sometimes will want a POV of like, how do I select the right tool, right? Because like we're constantly kind of putting together matrices and grids to help a brand kind of evaluate. Now, if you look at that image that we showed, and you can pull that up of all the different social listening tools that are out there that Forrester and that we work with, you can see that there's so many that are out there. So how do you pick the right one? Because it's easy to be overwhelmed and kind of like, well, I'll just pick that one because I know that one. But we do have some like guiding questions that we always ask our clients and potential clients, to help them pick the right social listening tool for their brand or for their business. So the first one is like, what are your project objectives? Like, what are you trying to accomplish with this social listening tool? Are you doing it for reputation management? Are you doing it because you want to look at influencers? Are you doing it because you want to do social media research? Like, what is the goal of the project? What are your objectives? The next thing that we ask is, what resources do you have? Like, do you have a lot of people? Do you have a lot of time? Do you need it to be really simple, really easy? Because a lot of brands, and correct me if I'm wrong, a lot of brands may not have a power user like us in-house, which is why we tend to work with a lot of enterprises who are able to have a company like ours come in and work with them on their social listening programs, because they don't have enough headcount to kind of like step in and fill that analytic role.
Yeah, you hit it right on the nail. I mean, that's exactly what clients come to us for, because they just don't have the headcount, the
Yeah,
resources. And that's where we step in, and we can actually do the research for you, and recommend the right tool.
exactly. And then to your point, Myra, you talked about the cost. Well, that is definitely a consideration, because, what is your budget? Because these tools run the gamut of like how much they cost. You can have a free tool like a Google Alert, which gives you a very limited amount of information, but it could just definitely be helpful. And you could work with something like a Brand 24, which is very reasonable, or a Wario, .com, which is very reasonable to like small business owners, or for major enterprises. They work with the likes of the Talk Walkers, the Brand Watches, the Net Bases. And then the next question that we ask is, who are the key stakeholders? Who needs to know this information? For the social, is it the PR team? Is it marketing? Is it HR? Is it legal? Like, who are the key stakeholders, and do they need to have access to it? Do they need to have? Are they going to be doing queries? So making sure that your tool can accommodate those key stakeholders is very important. And the last is, and I think is probably the most important, is what kind of support do you need from your social listening provider? Like, do you need them to be there to train you? Do you need to have them like walk you through, or do they need to actually like set up things for you because you don't have Boolean? Now, Myra, I know you and I have always been a part of the support, because we kind of manage the social listening tools like we're in charge of them. But
Yeah.
like, what do you think about the type of support that a lot of the social listening providers provide?
Well, that's also very key. And which tool that you end up liking the most is like, what kind of support do they give? Like,
Yeah.
how quickly do they answer? Do they have a instant chat?
Mhm.
Those tools that
I
have
love that.
instant chat, I love,
I
because
do too.
they're great. Because oftentimes we're working in the middle of the night, and just need to get a question answered in the middle of the night. We work through the wee hours of the evening, but so that's critical. And how the client service team is set up for those social listening tools. So that's very key, and you get a sense of that early on. But also you can do some research on how other customers feel about the customer service they get from that tool on G2 Crowd. You'll get a sense of that there. So that's always a great place to go in your search. But you can always reach out to us, and we'll let you know that as well from our personal
Exactly.
experience.
So
um,
once like a brand has the answers, like we call those the 5 Ws of selecting the right tool.
mhm.
Basically, once the brand has those answers, Myra, they can begin researching. And if you pull up that sheet where Gartner has kind of like have the different quadrants of the social listening tools, once you have that, you can actually start researching the social listening tools that best suit your need. And that's how we typically will recommend a brand select a social tool that will be right for them.
Right. That's that the five whys. So the next question that we wanted to kind of address are like, how do we use the tools? Like, what is it, the output? One of the other questions is, how do they work? That's actually another topic that we probably need to cover in another session. But what is the output of data that we get from social listening. So we wanted to share a couple of the reports that we've generated, some case studies. So we'll pull one up here, and I think the first example is a report we did for Ticketmaster. And this is a visual of information that we get, and we got this from Brandwatch. Ticketmaster, they have month over month reports. They wanted to know how they were performing against competitors. So this is the type of data that we can extract from a brand watch, and that's like volume. And then we look at competitors and create a share of voice chart. And then we also look at the brand's sentiment over time. And then when we look into channel metrics, that's when we go into another tool. We either go natively, or sometimes we use something like a rival IQ. And so, and I mentioned brands sometimes use a cocktail of
Yeah.
tools. That's how we do it. And then we also have another example of a visual that we did, and it's from Waymo. And I'll let Barika go into that.
Yeah, so with Waymo, we just wanted to do something really simple to help them understand like what their brand was doing with an announcement. So it was really like around a campaign, how it performed, like what people felt about it, like what were some of the barriers of autonomous cars. So just kind of pulling that out and then simplifying it and giving them verbatim so they would be able to kind of see the customer voice around that campaign, and just visualizing it in a way that was simple, easy to digest, and to share to their executive team. So I think that this is a perfect example of using, for this one, I believe we used NetBase to kind of get that information. And it was just a really clear and concise way to kind of share with them, like, this campaign was awesome. And here are some of the things that worked really well. And here are some recommendations of things that you can do for future campaigns.
And you said something in there in your explanation that it was like what we do with the data that comes out of the social tools is we basically break it down and make it digestible, because
Yeah.
it can be overwhelming. The amount of information that these social tools can pull together
Yeah.
is a lot. It's
It's time consuming.
thousands of mentions. And so it's our job to go through the mentions as quickly as we can, and determine what's noise, what's irrelevant, what is relevant, and just get to the meat of the story and put that, and visually represent that. And we want to show another one that we did around the campaign, the presidential campaign. And this one we did just for fun. We were trying to see, again, can we predict the outcome based on sentiment analysis? In the middle section there, you'll see the sentiment. And for both Biden and Trump, it was trending both negative, more negative than positive, but slightly more negative for Trump. And then also demographics, you can see where conversations are happening across the United States, where the concentration of conversations were happening. And then you can pull through, like, what were the topics that the themes that people were most talking about. And it was, of course, taxes. Everybody's always talking about taxes. And I can't see the other visual because the
Coronavirus. Yeah,
coronavirus.
coronavirus was a big
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, because that was definitely something that was going on at the time. So,
And verbatims are always fun, right? Our
yeah,
verbatims are always
verbatims are the best.
verbatims are always the best. We always have a section of verbatims to give a sense of what people were saying, and they were always talking about, in that particular case, the big mask, and
Yeah.
just back and forth banter.
No, that was a particular a fun research project that we took on. So I really enjoyed that. We also did one for the vice president too, with the fly on Mike Pence's head.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was that was a great one that definitely went viral.
That was fun. That was fun. So I know we're kind of coming to the end of our time here. So I just kind of wanted to wrap it up and share that, with so many tools out there and the variety of options, that's exactly how we can help at B3. You know, we can assess your company needs and recommend the right tool for your organization. That's our expertise. That's what we do. So if you go to our website at b3mediasolutions.com and click on what we do, you can read there the different options of the things that we can do for you, fill out the form, and you can get a free consultation. So, you know, we've already done the research. Just reach out and we can give you the details that you would need to help you make that decision for your organization.
And before we go, I think it's really important to always kind of give back and make sure that you guys are able to like do some social listening, try it out. And some of the tools like Sprout Social, they have like free trials. So it's always great to like work with them and to get a free trial so that you can kind of play around with the data, see if you like the tool and see if it works for your organization. So some of the tools that are, you know, free or have free trials include Mention, which has the ability, mention.com. It has the ability to scour the internet and track social media mentions across about 50 different languages. So that's always a good tool that you can kind of like use, and it's really inexpensive. Also, BuzzSumo, and it's really like a content analysis tool, but it's great for social listening if you know how to work it right. So it's a low cost tool. You can kind of comb through the web. It doesn't have everything, not all the bells and whistles, but it definitely is an opportunity for you to be able to do some social listening at without a lot of cost to your business. And I think the third one is Tweet Reach. Now, this is specifically for Twitter, but it does a great job of helping you listen to what's happening on Twitter. And since the majority of mentions are coming from that platform anyway, it's a great way to kind of get a pulse of your brand, your reach, your exposures, mentions, hashtags. And so they also do a really great job of giving you information about your brand with Tweet Reach.
Thank you for those awesome tips,
Yeah.
Parika. That was some great free information. So I want to thank you, Barika, for joining me today. And thank you everyone
Anytime.
else who joined us. Again, go to our website, check us out, and join us here next week as we gear up for 2022. And we're going to talk about what you need to know about a brand audit and things that you should consider towards the end of the year. So
Exactly. If you're not working on your brand audit right now, you need to be. And if you need help with that or any guidelines, don't hesitate to reach out. And just as a parting gift, if you saw this web series, if you saw this live stream, we are going to give you a guide where you can use to help you kind of evaluate your social listening tools. So just go to b3mediasolutions.com and you can get a guideline to help you with your social listening, evaluating your social listening tools. All right, Myra, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. This was fun. Can't
This
wait to do
was
it
fun. We
again.
can't wait to do it again. Bye, everyone.